going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC reality checking. You don't see my pretty sexy face. You know I'm not alone. You knew we were going to get him back on here eventually. It's NXT. We're talking Takeover. Super sexy Jake DeMarco. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, thank you so much for having me back. I have missed you, buddy. It's been far too long. In this new America/Canada that we have going on, you know, how much has changed. I'm glad our friendship still exists. It survived the test of time and COVID.
You got somebody to talk about NXT with while you're watching AEW for Joe's show.
Exactly.
All right, I'm just going to put it to you 10 seconds or less. We know you've been off dealing with all kinds of shit. How are you doing?
Doing okay, you know, still dealing with a lot of the nausea stuff, which is unfortunate, but now just waiting to have a small procedure to have the neurostimulator taken on my back so I can get a few more tests. So, all a waiting game. That's what it is.
And we finally got you. I've been saying to people on the NXT, I'm like, we're going to get you eventually, and if we can't get you, I'm going to send a couple more shout-outs your way, and the wrestling gods, you know, JBL and the rest of them, are going to give us Jake eventually. And we've got Jake for Takeover. Now, I'm lucky. I have a collection of awesome co-hosts. We did have Guapo that was ready to pinch hit for you if life wasn't going your way. I want to send a quick shout-out to Guapo and Ruffin. They've got their first episode of their Wednesday Night Wrestling show that would have gone live, I think, 38 minutes ago on Facebook Live, but I am going to encourage everybody listening right now, seek them out on, I think, Spotify, definitely YouTube. That'll drop tomorrow, the replay. They're trying to get a new show up off the ground, so go show them some love, and Guapo will be with us in 2 weeks to talk about AEW, and I'll probably make a lot of fun of Cody Rhodes. It'll be good.
Yeah, I can't wait to check out their show. You know, the Wednesday Night War. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we said it before we came on the air, but, like, unless you're insane like you and Joe, who's really talking about Raw and SmackDown?
Yeah, nobody at this point in time. The metric show, that's a fact.
One thing we do need to talk about before we get into NXT, because it's not going to affect NXT, we saw some leaked photos of the Thunderdome.
Yeah, I mean, we've already, you know, kind of seen what it's going to be, and it really is just Skype in the arena. That's what it comes down to. Yep. And it is very interesting. I don't want to say it looks like ass, but I'm very compelled to. In a
still photo, it looks like ass. We haven't seen it, quote unquote, in motion.
That's what it is. I mean, we need to see the practical application of it, and I'm trying to hold off full judgment, but still frames don't have a good look. And I watched a couple of videos that were screen captures, so there was a lot of lag, so it was still difficult to tell, but watching even a raw video feed didn't look that impressive. I mean, from a technical standpoint, it is very impressive. Wow, you have all of these individual feeds coming in, being televised to the wrestlers at the same time, you know, so you think about how much upload and download, you know, is going on simultaneously, how much they're sharing and pulling in, and that's incredible.
Oh, from a technological point of view, I think it's a huge endeavor.
It's a modern marvel for what they're able to achieve.
It's funny that you say that. I was about to compare it to Marvel.
Yeah.
You look at Infinity War, and even if you're not a Marvel fan, you have to appreciate what they accomplished. I will look at this objectively, if this works, and say that they have achieved something like marvelous, no pun intended, but whether that marvelous thing is good. And I think I said it in Joe's stream the other night. If they, for some reason, have some kind of internet issue, and all of a sudden the feeds die, and all the screens go black, that's going to be real bad.
Yeah, and they had a few glitches where people were just falling apart. So.
And we've all seen on videos when you have like an unfortunate pause, because you know you're going to get somebody's facial expression at the exact wrong time. Or something, and it's just going to look...
And it's going to be stuck, frozen there.
Yeah. I mean, take somebody... I'm going to go back to the example of Joe, but think about somebody expressive as Joe, when he gets going on something. Imagine somebody pausing one of his videos at just the wrong time, and imagine that being the background of your, say, Intercontinental title match on Friday.
Yes, anything.
The thing is, though... I kind of don't care because it was confirmed today. Those of you that were listening to my NXT review, I was making fun of Takeover being in the Thunderdome. It's not in the Thunderdome. I'm just an idiot. But
I thought it was as well, though, to be completely fair.
I think they had to reconfirm it because they listed all the NXT shows in their taping schedule, but the rest of the article was about the Thunderdome, and it's just like, no, full sale, full sale, full sale. I don't hate it as much now that I know it's not going to mess with my thing. And that's incredibly selfish as a fan. If it was going to affect NXT, it would bother me more. Because it's only going to affect Raw and SmackDown and SummerSlam, I'm going to treat it like I treated the Boneyard match, like I treated the Eye for an Eye match. It's just like, it's that fucked up thing that the other brand is doing.
Yeah, if it's there and it's an annoyance, but it's not affecting the show overall, like it's just a petty issue, you're like, oh, it's a bit of a distraction, but it's not taking away. Fine, so be it. But I view this to be or envision it to be just a gigantic distraction because you're going to be not paying attention to the wrestlers. To be like, look at what the girl in section 42 is doing. Look at what the kid's picking his nose over in column C. Things like that. So.
Oh, I don't know if they're going to be doing something as rude as picking their nose. I mean, you saw the bylaws, policies, and procedures.
Yes, you did send me that. My God, you have to basically be a robot, but.
You have to get, like, Joseph Park and Associates to go over that contract before you can do anything. It's, I don't know. Because I'm the NXT guy, as long as it doesn't affect my show, like, I'm going to laugh at SmackDown from a distance, laugh at Raw from a distance, laugh at SummerSlam from a distance. I'm not doing a SummerSlam review, or a preview. Fuck it. Like, what
Can't
is
say I blame you. I mean, we've seen, out of the 8 matches announced, we've seen 4 of them on TV already. So, I mean, we've seen the Street Profits defend their tag team titles against Andrade and Garza. We've seen Bayley take on Asuka. We've seen Sasha take on Asuka. And we've seen Apollo Crews defeat MVP. So,
it'll be another video, but we got to talk about that U.S. title.
Yes.
another video for another time. But I will say, whatever they're doing with the Intercontinental Championship, I know they're doing something on SmackDown. I'm sure they'll throw something on at the last minute. That'll be fine. I mean, we got The Fiend versus the Big Stro.
Yeah, which could be okay, but I just envision that going south as well, sadly.
I just wanted to make fun of his haircut.
Yeah, baldy,
He wanted to get ahead of the Sonya Mandy match, and he wanted all the baldness for himself.
You're gonna get these clippers.
Anyway, I'm down for bald Sonya Deville, but that's neither here nor there. Normally,
I am as well. I think it'll be interesting because Mandy can't lose her hair. Mandy just cut her hair.
Yeah, but you know what though? Wouldn't that just be the thing? Like, okay.
Logically, it would be the way to separate her from every other blonde in the division, as you had said. Like, it would be something quite special. But the issue is they don't want to make their golden goose look ugly by any chance.
Well, the other thing is too is you got dickhead fans out there. They're, this match is totally predictable. Obviously, they're going to shave the lesbian's head, and I'm like, when has that been part of the storyline at all? I mean, it's pretty obvious that she is out there as an advocate for LGBT and all that, but, like, don't be a dick. It's like the guy that stole Shotzi Blackheart's car.
Hey, at least
don't
she
be
got
a
all
dick.
her stuff back.
If she got her helmet back, that was the one thing. She didn't even care about the car. I don't know if you've seen the actual video
Yeah, I saw
of it.
the video.
And apparently, the day that it was stolen, Triple H got on with, like, their props department to make her another one if she needed it. And, like, say what you will about Triple H, sometimes he's a dick. I'm going to have some negative things to say about him later on. But that's pretty good. Like, they must, obviously, like, it's a shitty situation, first of all, but, like, we've got a props department. Everything we need is right here in Florida. We'll get you another one, like, in a day. That's the good side of Triple H is such a two-sided coin.
Yeah, he really, because he cares about his constituents, his wrestlers, but
yeah,
he does play the political
people
game
derogatorily say like Papa H, but like I think there is a good side to that, and the bad side we're going to talk about later on when we talk about why I can't totally look forward to this show. But
yeah, there's a few things that I'm just
hanging over.
I'm not like overly excited as I usually am for a takeover or just for NXT in general. And it's not because well, AEW this or that. It's not. I doubt I'll even tune into Dynamite when NXT is finally on. I'll put my full attention on Takeover. But unfortunately, it doesn't have that same allure like it usually does. It doesn't have that enticing magic.
And it should. And, we are going to talk about the one big elephant in the room in a second and how that one thing sort of shades how I feel about the whole show. But, there's some good shit going on in this, and I really want to love it. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot about the women's division because that's where the gold is right now. But you and I said it. We said before we came on, we both went back recently and listened to our preview for Portland. It's why do we look at NXT this way? Why do we react so badly when something bad happens in NXT? It's well, from my point of view, it's my brand, and I've been saying it the past 2 weeks on the review. It's my brand, so of course I'm going to come down harder on it because I expect more. And that level of expectation, even though there's some kick-ass stuff happening on Saturday, I don't think it's been met.
Yeah, it's certainly not a TakeOver 30 caliber show.
Yeah, and I mean, it is partially the whole, well, we still know that, we still know how the world is. We still know that it's going to be a fake crowd. We still know that it's going to be not as spectacular as it should be. But I wanted to throw something at you before we actually start talking about the show, because before we start talking about the show, we always talk about what's going on around NXT. I'm gonna read you off a short list, and I want you to tell me what all these things have in common. Okay, Jake, you ready?
Hit me.
Aaliyah, Candice LeRae, Shotzi Blackheart, Rhea Ripley, Kaden Carter, Casey Catanzaro, Mercedes Martinez, Mia Yim, Tegan Knox, Tommaso Ciampa, Dexter Lumis, Robert Stone, Santos Escobar, Killian Dane, all of Imperium, the Cruiserweight Championship, and the Tag Team Championships. Do you know what they all have in common?
They're all not featured on the show?
They're all not featured on the fucking show.
Or they're all in Retribution. Was that the right answer?
Can we not? Antifa Light? Can we not? But, obviously nobody can...
that way.
Obviously, the majority of that list is the stacked women's roster that they have.
Absolutely. And how they're not utilizing them hardly at all. I mean, you look at this show, you have one women's match, and I'm not
do you know about the match?
To it.
Do you know about the match that was thrown on just today?
With Finn Balor and, yeah. I saw that, and I was like, why add that on so last second when you have women's feuds that have been pre-existing that could have been in that place? I just guess they feel like they need Balor at TakeOver.
Yeah, I mean...
Which, justifiably so, but if that's the case, then he should have been in the ladder match.
Instead of... Yeah.
Instead of Dream.
Now, okay, I will say it is a little bit of repeat territory. You and I have both beat the drum for a long time that the Cruiserweight title was saved by NXT.
Absolutely.
I still hold it now. I have my opinions of the El Legado del Fantasma faction. I think they're fantastic. I think Santos Escobar, even though he's got a drug dealer name, is a great Cruiserweight champion. But once again, this isn't on the card. But now, I mean, yes, the tag team division in NXT is like the women's division in AEW. There's your comparison. I get it.
It's not as egregiously bad as AEW's women division is, but it does have a lot.
I just meant lack of focus.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That I'll give you. That I'll concede to.
I mean, but it's the first time that it is a break in the what we used to call the TakeOver template, where you got a match for every title and then sort of one extra match. And I thought that was good because, we're going to put all our gold on display, and then we're going to throw one thing in to show you that we're not just about the titles, we can tell a story without. And I thought that was a great template because every now and then you had a really big feud, or every now and then they would feature somebody from the UK brand, before the UK brand was a thing. Eventually they introduced the North American Championship, and that became one of those slots. But this is just... There's so much... You could take... all the people that aren't on this show and make another show.
Yeah, you can, and that was WWE's problem at times too, for the main roster. They would, go ahead and basically hold off on utilizing a good portion of their roster who was extremely over with the crowd, and it was a bit confusing as to why they would not use those wrestlers. But I know they don't want to have this incredibly long takeover show, and shorter is usually sweeter. Very concise, get in, get out. That's how they play to their strong suits. Instead of having 8 matches where it drags on forever. But I would have gotten rid of the Balor match and saved that either for the next takeover or built it up longer than just the quick 30-second plot introduction we got last week. I know they have history between each other, but what I'm saying is the reintroduction to the feud was very, short-lived. So,
and I mean, we're gonna talk about the card in a second, but I don't know how you make a card for a pay-per-view that has a number 1 contenders match for a title, but you don't feature that title on the card. And I know that like
very
half
bizarre
of Imperium,
not to have the tag champs.
I know half of Imperium is stuck over in the UK, but that's the half that aren't holding the tag titles. We know that Marcel Barthel, Fabian Eichner are in the States, or at least available to be in the States, because they were in the background when the Pat McAfee, Adam Cole stuff kicked off.
Yeah, so if they can be in the background for that, then they certainly can defend their titles.
I don't know. I mean, I would have loved it, honestly, before they... lost my train of thought for a second. Before they put in the Balor-Thatcher match, I thought it was going to be a case of, the number 1 contendership match happens on the pre-show, and then we get the title match on the show.
On the actual card. Yeah, I was hoping that would be the case as well, but doesn't seem to be that way. And
then the whole idea of something being, we always say quote-unquote, like, push to the pre-show, but, like, it's all... except when you talk about the Cruiserweight title, because Cruiserweight title lived there forever, but virtually anything else, I would say, like, it's all the same show.
Yeah, it really is.
But the idea of being pushed to the pre-show, like, obviously the number 1 contender match would happen on a pre-show, and the title match itself would happen on the show. I think it's weird. I mean, they haven't really given us a reason to care about, like, half of Imperium that hold the belts. But yeah,
they haven't given us a reason to care about half of the card tonight. I feel like it just doesn't have that usual...
I think there's reasons to care about the card. There's just not a whole lot of card. I'm sorry. I'm going to be stubborn about it. I'm going to beat the drum for you saved the Cruiserweight Championship. Put it on the fucking card.
Yeah, exactly. Utilize the belt.
You've mentioned it before about like how it needs to be a sort of a spectacle on the weekly show, like a TV title to bring people to the weekly show, which I understand, but it becomes the title that wasn't good enough to go on the big show if you do that for too long.
Yeah, that wasn't something that was supposed to be a long term. It was just supposed to showcase their talents after saving the belt, but
now it
wasn't supposed to be like Cody's or the U.S. title open challenge. I wasn't. In lieu of that, I wanted them to go ahead and just feature the belt a few times and then start working on a feud.
Cody's ugly-ass belt can fuck off.
I like the finished version. I don't care for the plate in the center.
We had that conversation. It's okay. I won't even blame AEW for this. It is literally the simplicity of the TNT logo, but the center of that belt looks plain and bland as fuck.
Yes, very bland.
The North American Championship is better than the TNT Championship.
No argument there.
From an aesthetic point of view, anyway.
All the NXT belts are great.
Yeah, I would say so. Even as soon as they got it off the purple strap, the Cruiserweight Championship is beautiful, and it's still got the purple accent, so it like knows where it came from.
Yes.
That being said, though, I saw somebody who photoshopped Cody Rhodes's belt, and it is basically his ego prop belt, and we can talk about that another day as well, but they photoshopped it onto a proper black strap, and that made a world of difference.
Oh, I'm sure, with the red, being such a standout.
Yeah, especially when it was like
making a difference.
Especially when it was like a tinfoil belt that's now being held by Luke Harper. We're not talking about AEW. We're not doing it. Anyways, we're talking about the Tag Team Championship, so we might as well get the kickoff match out of the way first. Announced just yesterday, because we're recording this on Thursday. It's probably going to go out Friday after SmackDown when we see what the Thunderdome looks like. But it's Breezango, the other 2 members of Legado del Fantasma, and Lorcan and Birch, which... I hate to be crass about this, it's 2 of the teams that they use when they want to make another team look good, and the brand new team that needs to look good.
Yes.
So Wild and Mendoza, they got to do it. Breezango and Lorcan and Birch.
They're both good at putting over other teams. The problem is that because Breezango and Phantasma have, a history right now, they are feuding with their issues. I think that might be the opportunity that Lorcan and Birch need to cinch the victory.
I mean, I would love that. Because, I mean, Breezango, I think everybody's sort of resigned themselves to the fact that Breezango are like the Zigglers on NXT, which is fine. I would, from a sentimental point of view, like, because we know how good they are, I would love to see them get a shot. I would love to see Lorcan and Birch get a shot. But right now, as far as pushing a brand new act, imagine all 3 members of Legado del Fantasma with belts.
Oh, no argument there. I really like them as well as you, so I could see it being, I'm sold, but I just don't see it happening for some reason.
See, the Phantasma...
I'd want them to win, but I see Birch and Oni winning for some reason. I'm going with that, crazily enough.
I think if anything, you could put them on Phantasma so that Phantasma and Breezango... if there is some sort of background thing that we don't know about where the guys from Imperium do want to make their way home and pursue other things, home is where the heart is type thing, just to get the belts off of them, and then maybe a little bit of a hot shot, but embellish a feud between Phantasma and Breezango and let the Imperium guys, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, the tapings for NXT UK are starting up in a few weeks.
Yeah, it's supposed to be sooner than later.
They've been doing... I mean, I haven't watched NXT UK in a long time, I'm not going to lie. But apparently they've been doing, highlight shows since COVID started.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything at all from them since, months, so...
Yeah, so if for whatever reason they got to either go home and do home stuff, or go home and, focus on their brand again, hotshot it onto one of Breezango or Phantasma and let them feud over them. Because... the Phantasma group are awesome. Lorcan and Birch, I almost see Lorcan and Birch slowly slipping their way onto the main roster. And
I can see that as well.
Feuding with the Usos or this Shinsuke Cesaro team or whatever. I don't think that they're going to get a good feud out of these other 2 teams. I think the styles clash, no pun intended, would run its course pretty quickly, whereas Breezango and Phantasma have shown this week that they've got a bit of chemistry. I'm the only thing I will say about Legado del Fantasma is it goes 2 ways, because Raul Mendoza I didn't give a single fuck about before this faction came along, but Joaquin Wilde, there was a little bit of me, because they always say there's not enough fun things on NXT, which I don't exactly agree with, but I would have loved to see a little bit of DJZ on NXT.
That would have been cool.
That would have been cool. This is another way to go, and, obviously he's getting a chance to do his thing, and Joaquin Wilde, as the solo DJ guy, had a match, once a month. But, no, I think the group is great. I think they present themselves great. They've got that uniform, all out there with a purpose. They've got the backing of, we're going to make
they're credible threats and contenders. They're legitimate badasses. It's worked so far very well.
It's been a great package, and they haven't put it in your face and said, here's this new thing you're going to love. They just go out there and they do their thing, and I think it's accumulated as gradually as you can without an audience.
Yes, they've taken their time, and the slow burn paid off.
I mean, if they surprise us on the night and say, hey, we just earned this title match, and we want it tonight, and the guys from Imperium are there, I think it becomes pretty cut and dry at that point.
Yeah, now that's a Takeover 30 moment.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing. I wouldn't mind a surprise match on the night, because it is relatively a small card.
Yeah, exactly. And there's 6 matches? 7?
And it's not exactly like there's a crowd in there getting tired.
No, exactly. So they could certainly add one more on.
I would love to see the other 2 teams get a shot. I think Phantasma being the new shiny toy is going to work in their favor. Breezango and Lorcan and Birch are going to make them look like $1 million. Thatcher Balor, I hope you have something to say about it, because I really don't.
I wish I had more to say, honestly, with this, but we've seen them, feud briefly before. now we're going to get this going on again, doesn't really interest me.
I mean, Thatcher's obviously a project to them.
They see something in him. I just don't see what they see yet.
I see what it is. I think he in the singles division is what Lorcan and Birch are in the tag division. Is just this really tough motherfucker who's going to have a couple moments of his own. Or if you've got somebody else that you need to push, he'll
always be able to put somebody over.
They'll always be able to say, look, we just put him in there with Thatcher and he survived. I did say, because we haven't done a thing like this since Riddle went up to the main roster, but what did you think of the fight pit?
I liked it. I did. I liked the way that they had pulled it off, and it reminded me of the Lion's Den that used to take place, but
without ripping it off.
Yes, it was their own, and they made it their own, and that's what I could really appreciate that. So I liked the way that they handled it. It was visceral enough to keep your attention.
The upper staging idea was good too. That was cool. Kurt Angle was a nice touch, but he didn't overstay his welcome, and he was refereeing from above, which I thought was a really cool take. They took the ring ropes off, obviously, so that it was just a square cage. And, I mean, Balor made him look like $1 million, knocked out his teeth, which is, not a great way to spend a Wednesday night.
No, not at all. That looked brutal.
But, I mean, at the same time, what have they really done with Balor?
Nothing. When you look back through all of it, I figured, honestly, when he came down to NXT in September time?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he'll have the belt in a few weeks.
Yeah. I'm glad. I'm not going to lie. Officially. I'm not going to lie. I'm glad they didn't do that, because then I think he might get a reaction like Charlotte got.
In hindsight, I am glad, but now it feels like, all right, maybe he would be a good, competitor for Cross. Cross annihilates him the first time, and then we get the Demon back for the first time in years.
Yeah, I think they saved that for a takeover with crowds.
Yeah, that would be incredible, though.
But I thought, you know what it was, too, right, is everybody's like, oh, well, he shouldn't be in the ladder match on Saturday because, he's such a big star. Why would he go for the mid-card title? And it's like, well, think about the matches that he could put on the history of that belt. Think about...
Exactly. And
think about what the person, like, say, 6 months, he holds it for 6 months. And somebody like a Swerve Scott that we're going to talk, or actually we're not going to talk about because there's no cruiserweight title match. Think about somebody like a Swerve Scott. They build up Swerve Scott for 6 months. Not only does he eventually go on to become the North American champion, but he has the added bonus of saying, you know what, not only am I the North American champion, but I beat Finn Balor, former Universal champion, for this North American championship.
Exactly. So that'll be a huge notch in his belt.
I think, like, high-profile mid-carder is not a demotion for Finn Balor, because look at how good he makes everybody look. And
exactly.
Unfortunately, I think that's what this match is.
He's another Adam Cole. He's so reliable that, you're always going to get a good match out of him and Ciampa and, the guys that you can put in with anybody, and you're like, all right, I'm going to get something worthwhile here, regardless of, who, what, and where.
Yeah. I think some of the discussion that happened when he first came back down, obviously when he came back down to NXT, it opened up the door for, who else are they going to bring down? And then the next one was Charlotte, and everybody cried about it because she commits the cardinal sin of being white and blonde. But when I looked at the... yes, I'm a dick. I'm not in the greatest mood tonight. It's fine. But when he came back down to NXT, and I said, okay, is Balor back in NXT so that NXT can help him, or is he back in NXT so that he can help NXT? And it's definitely been the latter. Not that I mind that.
But he went back to help them, and he stuck to his word. He said he was going to help make stars, and that's what he's done.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the worldwide resume that he's got. I'm not going to pretend that I know about, the Bullet Club days of Balor or anything like that, but, he's been around enough.
Absolutely.
Even in a 5-minute conversation backstage with somebody, how much does he have to contribute, let alone getting in the ring with them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every bit is just as equally important when it comes to Finn. Can't be overstated there.
But now the other thing is, we get back into what we said about Breezango and Lorcan and Birch and all that sort of thing in the previous match. If that gives WWE a reason to turn Finn Balor into a Dolph Ziggler, that's a fucking crime.
Yeah, I don't see them doing that yet. I think they're going to build him up for something. I could really see him and Cross going at it.
I
For some reason, I just feel like that's a match in the pipeline.
I really want to see that.
Yeah, I think that would be next level badass, and on top of it, just so demanding out of both men. I think it could be really special. So if he wins here, they continue to build him up. Thatcher could still look like an animal, and again, he puts people over just as equally as Finn does, but I think Finn needs the win here more than Thatcher, so I'm going to say Balor.
I will say that I want it to be Balor, and that's about as confident as I can be. I
can take that, though.
If they waste now that we're onto the idea of Cross versus Balor, even though Cross isn't the champion yet, I will say, of anything on any brand, I don't care, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, even AEW, if they waste the opportunity of Balor versus Cross without a crowd, that
would be disgraceful. But
that would be, I would put that up there with the biggest missed opportunities so far in this current global situation, in tight air quotes.
Yeah, exactly.
That
would be terrible.
But you know what? Like, keep them simmering. Like I say, give them something like a mid-card title to keep them simmering, to keep them on the show, and then you pull the trigger as soon as you get crowds. Oh, by the way, AEW's got crowds coming in September.
Yeah, I saw that they're selling tickets again, so that's interesting as well. I'm curious to see how many, and it showed that they're seating people every other row. So
15% capacity, I think they said.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say what I always say when it comes to things like this. What would people be saying about Vince McMahon right now if WWE announced that they were going to bring fans back to the arena?
I think Vince got a harder time, justifiably so, because he wasn't testing people for COVID at that point, and AEW was. So, and that was what led to WWE having that 30-plus person outbreak.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, like even.
But I do agree, because usually it's like, oh, well, WWE did it, and they're getting shit on, but AEW does it, it's fine, So, but in this instance, I think AEW handled their situation better.
I think I will concede that to a point. I think where they were and the facilities that they had made available to them at the time versus what WWE had available to them at the time contributed to that. Not saying that things were handled correctly. But there's a lot more elbow room in Daly's place, and there's a lot more elbow room when another millionaire, overseeing the whole thing can sort of say, hey, have my stadium. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I will say on the other side of the coin, to be critical to WWE, the PC is literally their facility. If anybody should be able to police what's going on in their facility, it should be the people that own the facility. So they're not blameless.
No.
Don't get me wrong. But, anyways, Thatcher, Balor, it's weird. There's other things I would have rather seen. We've beaten that to death. It's fine. Dakota Kai versus Io Shirai.
I think Io Shirai retains here. I don't see Dakota Kai winning yet. I think they're trying to sell that story, obviously with Gonzalez being the threat here. But since she won the title at In Your House, she's only defended the title once so far. And I think that she still has more of a title. And it was a match kind of
out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was thrown together quickly. So I think that this is another chance for her to go over strong in a very hard fought victory. Gonzalez is going to attack her illegally. Dakota Kai is going to cheat a few times. So Io Shirai is going to really walk out of here battered and bruised, but looking like a real veteran.
I think. I love Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai's heel turn is Bayley's heel turn done properly.
Yeah, done right.
In my opinion. I almost wish that they didn't bring back Gonzalez, because I would love to see Dakota Kai, like evil, bitchy heel Dakota Kai, go in there and be a badass bitch on her own terms.
Without needing the backup.
Because it turned out all along, she's just been holding this secret in her back pocket, but she was holding her own, before we realized the reveal this week. She was holding it on her own, being a badass on her own. And it's been so, and her character work and her expressions and her body language is so above such a large percentage of the rest of the WWE roster as a whole.
Yes.
I would have loved to see that play out, truly one-on-one.
She plays that bitch face role very, very well.
it's not like, okay, obviously she's a bitch and she's great at it, but like there's a deviousness.
Yes, there's more layers to it than just being stuck up and narcissistic.
And I do think it's kind of funny, even though, like, you know, her and Tegan Nox are the match that will never end. You mentioned Io Shirai has only had one title defense, and it was against Tegan Nox.
Yep.
So do you
6 degrees of
No, do you want to tell the little sub story of, like, okay, you want to prepare for this one, have a match with this other one over here that, you know, we're bound to fight forever, or whatever the Joker quote is.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't bring that up either, so
I mean, just
it's right there.
Just bring the tag titles to NXT, and there's so many women that I would love to see on this card tonight. I'm sorry, I know it's random and people will bitch at me because it's a thrown together tag team and that's so fucking terrible. Rhea Ripley and Shotzi Blackheart need to go save those tag team titles at Payback.
Oh god, that would be such a great move for them to get the belts, because they're so over at this point.
They're so over, and it was such a, like, obviously I've got my bias towards Shotzi Blackheart. Obviously,
yeah, but it's a very iconic pairing with those two. They work so well together. They have similar yet contrasting styles.
I want to see, like, Shotzi Blackheart comes down in her little tank, and then, like, Ripley comes out, like, behind her in a Hummer.
Yeah.
I was going to make a Hummer joke there, but I'm not going to.
I was as well.
But, like, no, because I had seen Shotzi at Destiny, yes, tick that off on your Spaz Phoenix bingo card, it's fine. But when she came to the thing, and the first thing in my mind was I wanted to see her fight Rhea Ripley. I wanted to see the two of them go against each other, and then as soon as I saw them as a tag team, I'm like, no,
even more interesting.
No, that. Because, like, Ripley was the champion. I don't think Shotzi, as much as I would love to see it, is going to be in that singles title picture anytime soon. But put the tag titles on these women. Let NXT save those belts like they saved the Cruiserweight Championship.
And it would work so well to bring those two onto both main roster shows. No. Leave them in NXT. This is my point. I don't know if they would. I mean, that would be ideal, obviously, but realistically, Vince would have them go to each show. And if you're going to have anybody do it, Rhea Ripley's already been introduced to the Raw audience, and Shotzi, I think, would translate well coming out with her tank. And,
Shotzi, did you watch
that alone
SmackDown?
Would be a big splash.
You watched SmackDown when she was in the Battle Royal?
Yep.
But I mean, if you look at NXT rather, they've slowly been putting it together, like in the background. Like there's the Robert Stone brand with Mercedes Martinez and Aaliyah. We've had Mia Yim and Tegan Nox team a couple of times to the point where I think they've got a good dynamic. And there's the team that they finally decided to actually put together on screen that I think are like, you know, the Young Bucks, but a little bit better, is Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro.
Yes, and they work really well together.
They're so fun. There's that tag team division. Just throw in those 4 teams to start, and then, fuck it, have a tag team Mae Young Classic.
Yeah, I mean, you already have enough women to have these tag teams. Go for it. As where they were seeking women from outside in AEW to have their YouTube tournament, which I watched again on Monday, and I can't even tell you what happened. I watched it for half an hour, and it was so non-interesting and boring that I actually don't remember what I saw.
Jake, I got a quiz for you.
Absolutely. What do you got?
Why is WWE better than AEW?
Why?
Because Stephanie McMahon didn't put herself in the Mae Young Classic. And she's in the final, isn't she?
She, I believe, is going to be in the final.
The Nightmare Sister.
Yeah, they've got their new. It's their new team with Allie.
Oh, it does my fucking head in. But like, start with those 4 teams. Have a tag team Mae Young Classic. It's right there. WWE proved that they couldn't book a Cruiserweight Championship on the main roster. They've proven that they don't care to book a tag team division for the women on the main roster.
So let NXT take it.
All the ideas that are right there that people wanted to see, and oh my god, can you imagine what the NXT version of those tag team titles would look like?
Oh, it'd be fantastic.
I would say, I don't hate the design.
I like the tag titles, the white with the gold trim and...
I would say again.
They're not my favorite, but I do like them.
Do what you did with the thing, and just switch up the iconography on the plates to obviously represent NXT, like they did with the Cruiserweight title. And you know what? It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to throw those plates on a black strap. I mean,
I wouldn't.
I don't want it to be the default for everything, because I think in small doses you can have a strap that's not black. But I mean, right now the WWE, at least the casual audience, is so gun shy with the. Do you remember the initial reveal of the Universal title?
Yep.
That like made people
was
not
a meme
care
forever.
about Finn Balor.
Exactly. It's the same as the last one.
And now it's, you know what the thing is, and the stupid thing is, as much as I hate to say it and give those people credit, it does look better blue.
It does. It does.
Like, as stupid as that is.
You didn't think it would make that much of a difference, but it does.
It does, yeah.
I'm not sure what about it, it signifies itself better as blue than red, but for some reason it just flows that much nicer. I think maybe it's the shade of red.
Blue belts matter. I don't know. I'm an asshole. It's fine. No, I look for Dakota Kai in this match. Getting back to the match we're talking about for Saturday, I'm looking for Kai to surprise us like she did in Portland with Tegan Nox in that street fight.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think she's one of the ones, and Tegan Nox to a lesser degree as well. Io Shirai doesn't need to be elevated. Io Shirai is already there, so I don't want people to think that I'm pushing Io Shirai to the side. Dakota Kai is one that responds to the light that's on her. Put her in a takeover scenario, and she responds to that platform. So
very well said.
I'm predicting this could potentially be match of the night.
I'm with you there for match of the night.
I don't know. We're gonna talk about Leon Cross in a second, and obviously that's gonna be like the big spectacle, right?
Yeah.
Other than McAfee, which we're also gonna get to in a second. But as far as like overall, like we've seen how they interact a little bit. We've seen the chemistry that they have a little bit. They've been in a couple tags over the past couple of weeks, and they've had minor interactions, and it's enough to say, you know what? I think that's gonna work. I think that's gonna work.
I agree with you there.
It wouldn't hurt my feelings to have heel Dakota Kai hold that belt for a little bit.
Oh, I would love to see her hold the belt for a little bit. I just think that it would be shocking, at least. I mean, maybe shocking is what they want to pull off here. But Io Shirai, like I said, she only got that one defense against Tegan, so we've seen people.
You know what I'm really worried about,
first
though?
Defense. It happens, but
you know what I'm really worried about, though, is WWE main roster just lost Kairi Sane, and if they still want Asuka in a tag team scenario,
yeah, they could pull Io Shirai up, and
I'm not saying that's what I want. But it's a solution.
Here, you're non-white. Get up here.
I was dancing around that, and you just decided to hit it with like the Fiend's hammer.
Exactly. Bring up the sludge.
Well, Jake, we're racist again. It's fine.
I'm telling you. And sexist. Misogynistic. It just goes on and on.
I'm just saying, though, like, in all fairness to, like, myself, and I've never watched any Japanese wrestling, really, other than, like, the couple of matches that Jericho had over there. Like, look at what we're doing right now. The most recent past tag team champions were Kairi Sane and Asuka. Asuka's got, she's in the Raw title picture. You go over to...
And the SmackDown title picture.
Actually, that's true. She could come out as a double champ.
Yeah.
Io Shirai's got the belt right now. Even Hikaru Shida over in AEW. Like,
yep. Shinsuke Nakamura's half of the tag champs with Cesaro.
That's true, too. These things come in waves, and
The Street Profits have the Raw tag titles.
They're not.
I
was making a point about Japanese people.
I know you're going Japanese, but I'm saying like at least ethnic.
I was gonna say the Street
well.
Profits are, unless you're doing like a really shitty remake of Rush Hour.
You understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? No, I'm just going non-white in general.
Oh my God, Montez Ford and Akira Tozawa.
That'd be great.
That would, though. The sad thing is that wouldn't be terrible.
No, I would see that.
But
absolutely.
Also, I've said for a while, and this is probably going to be the last AEW reference that I make tonight, but I can't promise anything. I've made reference a lot to, all the AEW fans are like, oh, so-and-so's not being used very well in WWE. You got to save this person and save Zack Ryder and save Dean Ambrose and save this person and save that person. How about NXT goes in and saves some of the women that are over on the other side?
Yeah, really. They go ahead and
because you know what I want? Because you know what I want? I want Britt Baker I want
Yeah.
Britt Baker versus Bayley.
Ooh, that'd be good. Britt Baker versus essentially anybody at that point would be.
I just mean
enticing.
character-wise.
Oh, character-wise, surely.
The role model versus the role model.
Yep.
But on the more serious end of things, you know what I really want, and we've talked about this before.
What's that?
Shida versus Shirai.
Yeah, now that is a match. And I'm not even that crazy about Shida, but I know those two would put on a hell of a barn burner.
She gives off that. I mean, obviously it's in AEW, so it's to be expected. But she gives off that like, I've got more to give. I just haven't shown you yet.
I just haven't been pushed.
Yeah. I mean, it helps if you're on the show and not restricted to YouTube. But anyways, moving on. There's a lot of good. Even if you get something like Caden Carter versus Big Swole.
Yeah, I'd sign you up for that.
Nikki Cross versus Abaddon.
Nyla Rose versus Nia Jax.
Somebody's getting manhandled.
Get these hands.
Oh! How about no? Keep those hands over there. Oh, the Vicky Guerrero photo shoot. Ew. Good God. Why?
Woman, hear me roar.
Okay, well, I'll hear you roar, but that's about as much as I'll give you. God, we need to get off this.
NXT North American Championship we've yet to discuss. Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano, Cameron Grimes, and Velveteen Predator Dream.
Oh.
I know, and I think that Dream's going to win. A lot of people seem to think Damian Priest is going to win.
You know what the thing is, though?
I'm not sold on that myself.
Other than the Text-a-Teen Dream, I could have a decent enough. I stole that from somebody in Joe's chat. I can't even take credit for that. The problematic dream, the Velveteen wet dream. Like, we could go on and on. I mean, I don't know how far you want to drill down on the Velveteen Dream thing, man. Like,
I mean, we've said a lot already, and that's the thing. I mean, it's just
10 days ago when this happened, when he returned.
Yeah.
And when NXT had a little bit of Tony Khan syndrome and said, "Oh, we got a big surprise," and it's the worst thing ever.
Yeah, they really pulled a bait and switch with him being the, hey, here you go, surprise. And I had hoped for more from NXT, and I know they're really high on Velveteen Dream. Triple H said that, he wasn't taken off TV. The only reason he was off is because he was in that car accident. And once he was healed and able to come back,
here's where I'm going to go to the opposite side. We gave Triple H a lot of credit at the beginning of this podcast.
Here's the other side of that coin.
NXT's his brand. Oh, he was just in a car accident. That's why he was off. Of course that's what he said. Like, of course that's what he said.
Yeah, he's not going to say otherwise.
Like,
we knew that.
But, like, it's bad enough that they brought him back. And that he's a character that I'll admit I liked at one point. It took me a while to get what the character was. And okay, he's doing it and he's playing it up and he's really campy and it's, it's sort of like a different switch on like a Goldust-esque, I'm talking in very loose terms, a Goldust-esque character. And he's been in a bunch of different things. He's been in a bunch of multi-persons. He's had his moments at TakeOver with guys like Gargano and guys like Ciampa and guys like Riddle. Yeah. And he's filled a lot of roles really well. And he's shown every single time that if you put him in a main event picture, he's not. He managed to have a bad match with Adam Cole.
Yeah, which was surprising. But I don't think it was so much the match. You're talking about the fight that they had in the parking lot?
There's 20, 30 other people you could have put in that exact scenario with Adam Cole.
And it would have turned out
and
better.
It would have been great. And he pissed
just
me off.
Velveteen Dreams, he's not.
But they've tried so many times with him.
Yeah, he didn't. Nothing about that encapsulates who he is as a person. So it just didn't fit his role.
Do you remember when Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic were fighting forever?
Yes,
and they were
their
the only
best
ones,
of 7 series.
Yeah, and they were fighting over the North American Championship and all that sort of thing, and they just fought over it. And we're like, why don't you throw Priest in there? Why don't you throw Swerve in there? Why don't you throw Killian Dane in there? Like, there's so many spots that have been, like, anybody could have taken a turn.
Yes.
And
instead they just focus on the same.
That, in that case it was, Dominik Dijakovic, who I don't really have anything nice to say about. But in this case, Velveteen Dream, and I'm sorry, I gotta tap dance around it once again, but like, in his case, you gotta think of, okay, why? Maybe. perhaps, and then he has the car accident. I'm not saying he didn't have a car accident.
No, I know he did.
I
know that's
don't
been
get me
proven,
wrong. I'm not doing the conspiracy thing, but it's kind of
the timing is so suspicious. I mean, it really couldn't have been more of a conspiracy.
So you get the probably the worst offender of somebody that's been shoved down our throats unnecessarily, and then you see him returning to get another shot, and then you throw the real life stuff on top.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and I'm sorry, it comes down to a comparison. Sammy Guevara got fucked in AEW because for a month because he said some mean things on a podcast.
Said one mean thing. Said
one, and I'm not defending it. Let's be perfectly clear about this. I'm not defending it, but he said some stupid shit on a podcast,
but you knew what his intention was. He didn't actually have any malice or hate in his heart.
Yeah, it was a shock value on a podcast.
Exactly.
But and I go back to Enzo Amore, and everybody's like, oh well, nobody really cares about Enzo Amore, but that's not the point. You've got somebody that's categorically proven innocent, proven from a police point of view, from the Phoenix local court system point of view, from WWE's own, investigation into it and all that sort of thing. Proven categorically that what that chick in Phoenix, Arizona said, Phoenix, was
a lie.
Was entirely bullshit and still lost his fucking job.
Yep, there was no flip, rip, stick, and booming.
And you've got this where it's going around Twitter again this week. The amount of young people that that claim to have these interactions with him, that have the video proof, that have the answering machine proof, that have like the text proof, and they got my photos because my phone was hacked. It's like, okay, how do you explain the video the video conversations? How do you explain
the video conversations and the voice messages and
I'm sorry, but it does eventually go down to like Enzo lost his job even though he was innocent. Jordan Devlin just got let go. I believe Travis Banks got let go. Sammy Guevara over on the other side just got fucked over.
Excalibur's been gone for a month.
Excalibur's been that's another matter. But still,
it's there's repercussions.
And
now
I'm
Dream
sorry.
has no repercussions.
And nobody wants to say it. Nobody
It'll
wants
be a
to say it,
disaster.
Jake. And I'm not saying that this is the reason why. But there's one very big difference between all the people we just mentioned and Dream. And I'm sorry. And he's got a better tan than the rest of them.
Yeah. And it is
notable. And I don't want to suck you into my bad take there if you don't want to be there. And I'll take the shit.
That has to be considered because you have to have that kind of eyes wide open view of the world nowadays, just with how things are handled. And we made the joke before, with White Devil and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, oh, all right, there is a bias there nowadays because people don't want to. WWE, the last thing they want to do is look racist in any light way.
Well, that's the thing, though. I don't think it's a bias by WWE. I think it's in a lot of cases. I mean, yes, as you mentioned before, they're very high on him as a talent, which is fine. That's up to opinion. There's things that he's done that I'd like to know.
How much of that is a diversity check, box being checked too? So
I think it's more a case of, at this point, there's a bunch of people that have done bad things, and you can only punish some of them.
That's true. Well,
I just, you can't mention, and I've done enough Sasha Banks content on this channel, but you cannot even go on Twitter and mention that she was in the match where Paige suffered her, career-ending injury, whatever. I could go up there right now and mention that, not even blaming her.
Yeah,
and I will get jumped on for being this-ist and that-ist and whatever. But this is fucking retarded, this is.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, this is where,
It should have been handled a lot better. Much, much better. They dropped the ball on this one.
If the standard that's been set by how they handled everybody else.
How they handled other wrestlers. He should have been let go immediately. And then rehired if they, deemed him to be
exactly.
worthy.
And
I don't want that to be the standard either. I don't want to see people get fired. But that's what they've done before. So let's try and break that norm. Okay, fine. We don't want to have the accuser be viewed as 100% accurate. So investigate it. But if you said you did this investigation, then make it better known what was what occurred and that he's cleared. That's what needs to happen going forward. Because right now, the fans just changed his name to R. Kelly on Wikipedia. They're not happy.
Well, I was gonna say, like, the fans are in on it at this point, but like at the very beginning, it was a whole, like, obviously you know what people come at me with. Like, it's not a secret at this point, but it's like, oh, I bet you don't think that about Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle's situation is 110% different. Matt Riddle, probably at the company's permission, Matt Riddle went on Twitter fucking live, whatever you want to call it, and laid his entire fucking dick out on the table. Like, here's the situation. Here's what this psycho has done to me. Here's the proof of what I've been dealing with for the past year. Here's where her accusations are. Here's where, none of that adds up. And he could be talking. He could be bullshitting out his mouth. But he took it on, and he took it on face value. WWE made comments about it. They were at least putting out the image of it being, forthright and direct and whatever. They haven't said fuck all other than Triple H. Oh, I don't know what you guys are talking about. He was in a car accident.
Yeah, he played stupid. So, but I see him winning because it's going to be a PR, not disaster, but a total shitstorm, and it'll get people talking. It felt like they added him to have him win.
I don't want this to turn into the most negative version of a John Cena situation where it's like, oh, well, if people are talking, then he's done something right. Like, they used to run that about John Cena, and it was ridiculous. And it's like, oh, yeah, we're talking about him because we can't stand him. We don't want him on our TV anymore.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is the absolute darkest timeline version of that logic.
Exactly, and that's I mean, Cena you just didn't care for. This is a justified reason as to not care for somebody if he is guilty.
And the fact that they made him and they made him heel.
If he's not, but
and they made him heel.
Yeah,
so he's a negative, violent, terrorizing element, considering the current global climate, especially in the States. It scores up there with like real life Retribution.
Yeah, exactly. They're really trying to bring the Antifa, thing to life, and well, you might as well bring every aspect of that in here, because if you're going to go ahead and have, the Antifa riots attack, you might as well have some BLM and some Me Too movement in your story.
But the thing is,
well.
like, at least the Retribution thing is like so ridiculously bad. It's
so over the top.
Anyways, I know you got to get going soon, so we're going to have to sort of crackerjack through this. Who do you
think's going to win? Yeah, I'm very curious to hear.
I really want Bronson Reed to win. Like, it's not going to happen.
It's a good choice though for them to, how they ended the show the other night with him standing tall. It's a good look,
which confirms that he's not going to win. But yeah. Gargano winning could do everything that I just said about Balor a little while ago. Grimes, I said it in my review last night. He's not my cup of tea, but there's enough people out there that like his shtick that I could sort of like take an L and be like, okay, you guys got what you wanted, have fun.
Yeah, enjoy it while you can.
Priest, they've given a decent push to, so it seems like the logical, safe decision. I want them to surprise me. I want them to give it to Reed. I'm going to be doing a video up here, an angry video up here Saturday night if they put it on Dream. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's not the case, but that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah. I mean, let's flip over to something a little bit happier.
A little bit lighter, so, I mean, we do have...
Cross versus Lee is what I'm going to get to next.
Because I'm looking forward to.
Because I have a weird feeling this won't be the main event.
I don't think it's going to be the main event either.
I think it's a lot of fun. I think the Fireball thing, like, split the fans right down the middle. And it is, and oh my god, it's so fucking silly. I loved it. Well, yeah, but everybody's like, it's so fucking silly. And I'm like, yeah, but it's that good wrestling silly. Like, Undertaker's a zombie. Like,
yes, this is what the wrestling that,
Matt Hardy teleporting around Daly's place. Undertaker back in the day coming out with the cloth with the chloroform or whatever.
But you can even explain the Fireball, too, logically, if you really had to break it all down.
Well, this is the thing, though. Everyone's like, oh, all of a sudden, like, they've got magic or whatever. No, they could just be assholes that, like,
you can rig something.
Stuck a little trap in the clipboard. Like, it could be a very real-life thing.
Magicians do that all the time for,
exactly. Like, it could
fire
be...
paper tricks.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, when he does his promos and he's, like, got like half of his face in the monitor. He's trying to be a little on the demonic adjacent category.
Yeah, obviously, but
it's just an intimidation factor. That's no worse than like going to a Kiss concert and seeing the guys in makeup and being, oh my god, they think they're demons. It's like, no, they're dressed for the show. I like Killian Cross. I think he's one of the best things they're doing on the roster right now.
I really enjoy him as well, and
even with
worry is with this match, I don't know if they have. Hopefully they have a solid plan in mind, because to me it feels like they're going to go with one of those, as CBS said, their sports thing. They need an escape hatch clause. We'll get a DQ, a count out, any one of those non-finish options, because they don't want to put either guy over clean. I hope that's not the case here. I think we're going to get Karrion Kross going over Keith Lee. Karrion Kross wins. He's the new NXT champion, and then going forward, Keith Lee goes up to the main roster.
I was going to say, I think Keith Lee's going to the main roster faster than any of us imagined. Honestly, I think he's going to be... I think it's a case of they wanted him on the main roster, but they wanted to give him a little run before he went up. And I think...
Yeah, and had we not had the COVID situation, I think we would have gotten him up there sooner.
Yeah, which is kind of unfortunate.
I don't think he would have won the NXT World title. I think he would have just been the North American champion. That would have been his claim to fame.
And see, I do find that a little unfortunate, because I always talk about people like Bliss and Cross and all that sort of thing who never managed to hold a women's title before moving up, and the chances of them working backwards are a lot less. To me, it seems like a foregone conclusion, and so much so that if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be disappointed. But that's not a dig at Keith Lee. If he goes on and like has a couple good matches with somebody else, I don't know. You could always have a run-in. I know there's like a little bit of built-in sarcasm between him and Cameron Grimes, so a little like side feud where he like swats Cameron Grimes wouldn't hurt my feelings. And then he has a little bit of a redemption story, tries to get it one more time and goes to the main roster. But Karrion Kross has that thing about him, like he could be that brand's like iconic guy.
Iconic.
Oh my goodness! Yes, either bring them back to NXT, fix them too. It's fine.
Yes,
save everybody from AEW, save everybody from the main roster, and just like have NXT be 5 hours in the Thunderdome every Wednesday, and put it on a proper.
They're high on Peyton Royce. Come on,
and put it on a proper TV channel in Canada, so I don't have to watch it on a shitty USA stream. Moving on. Anyways, we're gonna hop on to the last one quick because I know you got to go. But Pat McAfee versus Adam Cole, baby.
Again, I feel so split with this. I'm really being hypocritical because I'm second guessing myself and kind of making myself sound silly. But part of me loves this, and I'm so into it. And the other part of me is like, this feels like such a main roster angle, where they bring in the outsider to it just.
And see, that's where I know I just cut you off. That's where I love this, because, and hold on to your hats, I'm going to give AEW a bit of credit. Remember when Cody had his cage match with, I forget who it was it Wardlow?
Yes.
And the thing is not so much like, oh my god, we've never seen a cage match before, but it's like, it's really interesting to see how AEW is going to tackle a cage match.
Yes.
And they did it okay. I had pros and cons on it, but like it was new, it was different. The way they put the cage together was different, all that sort of thing. We've never seen NXT tackle the wrestling trope of a celebrity match.
No, we haven't.
And I think they've negated that with the fact that Pat McAfee, even though he's not a roster member, and I've been saying this for weeks now, so people that are getting sick of me hearing about it, tune out for a minute. Pat McAfee isn't a wrestler, but he is an NXT character.
Yeah, he's an NXT guy through and through.
He's not a complete outsider. He's not old-ass Mike Tyson still trying to get it done.
He's also very charismatic, so he's great on the mic.
Oh, fuck,
and
that promo.
He's very, very athletic.
That promo on Wednesday
was so good. Was excellent. That was one of my favorite segments of the night. Absolutely. It was a standout. And Pat is just, like I said, he's a natural heel. He's very charismatic. It gives us a different portrayal of Adam Cole, because now he's able to be a face, which is a interesting, dichotomy change between what we've gotten. And then on top of it, there's a lot of what ifs in this scenario as well. So there's a lot of intrigue built in.
You know what it is, and the one thing is like Adam Cole's obviously great in the ring. We've talked about it on numerous occasions. There's pretty much nothing the guy can't do. Put him in the most technical match you want to imagine. Put him in the 3 Stages of Hell match with Johnny Gargano that I was there live for in Toronto, by the way.
Hell yeah.
He can do it all. But how good is Adam Cole on the mic?
Yeah, he lacks a little bit on the mic. I mean, he's still good.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't
think he's this.
I think he plays what he does really well. The entire
I'll give you that.
Undisputed Era, and I have to give credit to What Culture because they pointed this out a while ago. They are the 4 dorks that think they are the coolest guys in the room.
That's a great outlook on.
And if you look at it, if you look at it in that context, an Adam Cole promo, not only in the ring, but when they do their pre-tapes, and they're always sort of like sitting on the back of a trailer or one of the production trucks, or whatever. It's like they're not even in the arena; they're the cool kids in school, hanging out in the parking lot, smoking a cigarette. Like
they're smoking cigarettes in the bathroom.
Not to get repetitive, but they are in their own minds. They're the coolest kids in school, and on that regard, I will always listen when Adam Cole picks up a microphone. So
he does command your attention.
So if you're in a feud with Adam Cole, especially because like when he goes from cocky to actually being serious, it has an effect. But if you're in a feud with Adam Cole, and if you're the relative newcomer, you're the relative outsider, you're in a feud with Adam Cole, and you get all the mic time. Adam Cole does everything by saying nothing in that scenario.
Yeah, he speaks volumes by not speaking, so that's a great point. And the thing here is I could see both men winning. Just like I knew when Stephen Amell was coming into WWE, he was a very, at SummerSlam, he was a very big fan of wrestling. He's a very, very athletic individual, coming from Hollywood. You knew he respected the business, so he wasn't going to make a mockery out of it.
Yeah.
Same thing with Pat here. I know he respects the business. He is one of the NXT crew, as you said. He's going to do his best to make it look as good as possible, and he's been working very, very, very hard, apparently, so that's great to hear.
Well, that's the thing is this is kicked up over the past, 4 weeks, right? But Pat McAfee, I'm gonna go over it once again. He's been an NXT character for how long? So here's a question that I'm really curious about that I never really want answered because I want it to float around out there in the mind. How long has he actually been preparing for this?
Oh yeah, God, I'm curious, but
somebody said he's going to pull out something ridiculous like a Styles Clash or a Canadian Destroyer, and nobody's going to see it coming.
I bet you that is absolutely going to happen.
Yeah. You know what it is? As much as this is probably sacrilege, I want Pat McAfee to win.
I don't disagree with you. A lot of people think that Pat McAfee is going to be helped somehow, and then Adam Cole will feud with whoever helps McAfee going forward. And then they can revisit this down the line. But I keep going back and just say, all right, Adam Cole's going to win straight up.
I thought that too, until somebody put a terrifying thought in my head earlier today.
What's that?
Okay, so Adam Cole always has his backup, right? He's got the Undisputed Era with him. Nice team of 4, right? Pat McAfee beat him to the punch this week because he had all his football friends with him, right?
Yeah, he's always had. Yeah, they both had their cover. Their entourage.
What is the next Takeover event?
Is it what? It's not War Games, right?
It is.
Oh, it is War Games?
Because it'll be a Survivor Series. I don't know that I want to see that, but I kind of want to see that.
That would be certainly enticing.
Because what was it like way, way, way back when LT was in WWE and they had the Battle Royal with all the wrestlers and all the football players?
Exactly.
Can you imagine, Pat, even if he has been preparing for this long, Pat McAfee and a bunch of other football players trying to get through a match that is realistically Undisputed Era's match.
Yeah.
Because they've been in all 3 of them now.
Yep.
Like, on the one hand, it'd be awesome. It would be a great spectacle. But on the other hand, they would make them look like shit in the best way possible.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyways, that's it. I think we've previewed the hell out of this show, even though there's a lot of negative to pull from it.
Yeah, there's enough negative, but there's also enough that's going on that I think it'll be better than what we're previewing it out to be. So
I hope they get the ladder match out of the way first, so we can enjoy the rest of the show. And
I hope so as well.
When would you think you would ever say that about an NXT ladder match?
They usually open with the ladder matches, though, I feel like, so...
Yeah, but when did you ever think you'd want to get an NXT ladder match out of the way?
No, certainly not.
That's terrible. Anyways, so I think we've done it. Why don't you tell people where to find you?
You can see me on the Joe Cronin Show after every Raw, SmackDown, and AEW NXT show for the reviews. You can also catch me on Twitter at Countdown Ended, or on my YouTube channel, it's Jake Countdown Ended DeMarco. You can go ahead and find me there.
Do you still have the stuff up for your charity thing, or is that done?
Yes, that's still up and running. So it's extra-life.org/participant/Jake DeMarco. You can read the information there. We're still raising money for the Connecticut Children's Medical Center. So go ahead and check that out if you so kindly like to do so.
All right, you guys know where to find me, or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz. He's been Jake. We are your NXT reality check. Subscribe over there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, me and Super Sexy Jake DeMarco are tagging out. Bye, guys.